to the south, oh, from the east to the west, oh, it is time Nigeria, it is time for a power shift, oh.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in once again to another Facebook Live. Especially those of you who have been very consistent over the past week. I want to thank you for showing up for this conversation. I want to thank you for showing up for this meeting. It's something that we have been doing consistently for a month now, and we are hoping to, continue to bring you, this opportunity to have this interaction. Like I always mentioned, this is not just for the campaign. I am hoping that the conversation is going to continue even after campaign, so that we can use this platform to sensitize and educate on issues about governance that we all, need to be part of. Once again, my name is Nonso Nnamani, and I'm the APGA candidate for House of Representatives, representing Enugu North and South Federal Constituency. Once again, I welcome you to this special morning or afternoon broadcast. And today, again, I will be joined by Uche Ogbu. Uche, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. And good day to all our viewers and listeners. It's good to be here, and it's good to have you join us.
Awesome. So one of the things we are also going to be looking at is, in order to make it more conversational, I've asked Uche to join me in this conversation. But more so, we are also going to be, creating more other opportunities where we can have more guests in the studio, and then also the engagement online. We are encouraging that the engagement online will also continue, so that we'll be able to have a more interactive session. Today, we are going to be discussing an important topic, which I believe is going to be very interesting for all of us. Okay, the leaders we desire versus the leaders we deserve. Okay, the leaders we desire, versus the leaders we deserve. Okay, so whenever this question pops up in my head, I know one of my mentors always, spoke about the leaders we desire, and very soon he has, some shows put up, to also address that. But I find it, in Nigeria, where it's as if that the leaders we desire is different from the leaders that we eventually, deserve. Okay, so we have different aspirations, we have different goals. We all seek, transformation in our communities, things that we want to work, things that we want to see, change in our communities. But most times we discover that our experience is different from those desires. Okay, so in order to break it down, when you hear, let's take it one step at a time. When you hear the leaders we deserve, what comes into your mind? Or let's start from the leaders we desire. What comes into your mind?
Okay, the leaders we desire.
Yes.
All right, so when you have a conversation with the average guy on the street, they seem to know all about governance. They seem to know all about, leadership. You talk to them, they tell you, okay, the leaders are not doing this, they are not doing that. It goes to show you that, okay, they know a little bit about how things should be done. Even if, okay, they write procedures of how it's to be done, but they know how to get things right. They know the simple things that, we can do to get the economy, at least trying to work for the common man. But after having those conversations with them, so you now know that if the right leader is standing in front of them, it tells me that they can identify these leaders. They can tell you, okay, when this guy gets into office, he's going to do something right. He's going to do the right things. So those are the kind of leaders we the people desire. We know people that want to transform the society. We want people that can transform the society, give us good roads, give us schools, working schools, good jobs, and all those things. Those are the leaders we desire. So now bringing it to the leaders we deserve.
Okay, no. Just looking at the leaders we desire, I want us to sufficiently
analyze it.
That, the leaders we desire.
All right.
One thing is to all agree that there is something that every Nigerian wants. Okay? It's something that I believe we can all come to a table and say, yes, every Nigerian want a good life. Every Nigerian wants access to quality health care. Every Nigerian wants access to quality education. Okay? Every Nigerian wants security. They want to come to their house, run their businesses, go through the streets, and feel safe. Living in their community. Okay? Every Nigerian wants to go to the market and find things affordable. Find quality, affordable products. Okay? Every Nigerian wants a good job. It's a dream of every parent that when their children graduate from school, they should have access, to jobs. They should have access to opportunities that will help them, start up their own businesses or do something, meaningful with their life and be able to contribute to the family. Okay, so we all agree. And inside every Nigerian is that desire to seek out leaders who will be able to bring that to the table. Okay? And that is what happens, that every election in Nigeria, every 4 years, Nigerians are looking forward to leaders who will be able to provide opportunity, who will be able to create solutions, who will be able to, make us feel at home, create a platform or community or organizations that will, give opportunity to everyone, irrespective of who you are, where you are coming from, or what you believe in. Okay? So you discover that we all agree that we need that kind of leader. So when we talk about a leader that we desire, okay, we want selfless leaders. We want leaders who not only care about themselves, leaders who care about the community. We want leaders who care about the community interest and not just self-interest. Okay? Yeah. We want leaders who care about building the community and not just building their political institution or their personality or so we want leaders who will be able to provide jobs, come to the community and create transformation. This is what an average Nigerian is constantly looking forward to. For those of you that are tuning in, it said volume please. I think someone, David Smart, is asking for volume. Okay, I think the tech team we'll look at that. Thank you very much. Okay, so as you join in the conversation, one of the things I would like you to do is to, drop your comments and drop your questions. And let me also know or hear from you, what do Nigerians look for in a leader? What kind of leader do we desire? Okay, so in defining that, we agree that an average Nigerian wants a leader that is able to carry everybody along, that there's inclusion, that everybody's opinion is respected. People can make contribution to, the way government is and the way government runs. I mean, that's why we have democracy. That's why we have representative governance, so that people can have an opportunity to make input in government. The other day we went out for a consultation meeting. You will hear people tell you things like, when you win the election, will your number still be accessible? So you see that an average Nigerian wants access. Not necessarily because they want to bother you, not necessarily that they don't have anything doing that they are looking for somebody to call, because there are challenges in our community that requires a leader to weigh into. There are problems, there are conflicts, there are issues in the community that requires a leader to come in. And they want to be able to know that if there are problems, are you reachable? If there are challenges in the community, can we reach out to you? So this is an average aspiration of every Nigerian. They want a working community, and the kind of leader they are looking for is a leader or leaders that will embodies these values, that has these solutions, that have the quality of mindset, the quality of value to be able to produce this transformation in our community. Okay, so looking at that, understanding the kind of leaders that we desire, it now brings me to the second point: the leaders that we deserve. Okay, so what comes into your mind whenever we talk about the leaders we deserve?
Okay, the leaders we deserve, I think this is where the bone of contention starts from, right? So, okay. Like you've just rightly explained and listed out how the things we desire and what we actually require as a people. So, but you now start to see that what we desire and what we get are two very separate things. So the question is, why is that so? Okay, so personally, over the last few weeks, I've come to this conclusion that, you know, whatever leadership we get, whatever authority we have over us, is a representation of who we are. Right? So if I'm getting ineffective leadership, is because me as a follower have been ineffective. Ineffective in the sense that I've not done the due process in trying to know and select properly who governs me and who has that authority over me. So before now, when you talk to the average person on the street about politics, they are usually very nonchalant. They'll tell you, okay, they're always going to do whatever they like. They're always going to, whenever they get into office, they don't listen to us and all those things. But you find out that that is actually the end product. It's not where it started from. It started from us not even being involved before they got into office. So if we had tried to engage them before they got into office, I don't think that by the time they get into office, they will just turn, a 360 and then start ignoring us. So what I'm trying to say is that the leaders that we deserve, is basically the leaders that, you know, we, one way or the other, helped to get into office, either by intentionally working for them or by, you know, trying to distance ourselves from the selection process. That's the electoral process, right? So when we are intentionally working for them, we now believe that, okay, this person has the right qualities to get to do the right job for us. So we are intentionally trying to put them into office. So we are getting them. So, and then when we try to say, okay, this process is none of my business, it doesn't concern me, we are now leaving the platform, we are now leaving the avenue for election for the interest of those who worked for him to get into office. So I deserved him by not working for him because the person that should have represented me effectively, I didn't do what I'm supposed to do. Okay, so the leaders we deserve are the leaders that we get because one way or the other, we as followers have failed in due diligence in making sure that those ones that we desire get into office.
Okay, so we are, for those of you that are tuning in now, we are looking at the leaders that we desire, versus the leaders that we deserve. Okay, so we desire a great nation and we want leaders who will be able to build a great nation. But at the end of the day, you discover that the leaders that we eventually get are as a result of our actions and inactions when it comes to the political decisions. Okay, so what an average Nigerian desires is someone that will bring transformation. But at the end of the day, what an average Nigerian experiences is leaders who are not able to meet up to that desire. And we believe that they're in that missing link, in that, vacuum where, there's a gap in between the leaders we desire and the leaders we deserve. In between that gap are choices an average Nigerian is making. And what are those choices? Those choices are connected to the conversations we have during a political season. The kind of interaction you have during this political season, all those things goes a long way to differentiate whether we are really going to get the leaders that we desire or the leaders that we deserve. Our governorship candidate, Frank Wenke, will put it like this. He said, leadership and followership is a shared responsibility. So it means that even though I am desiring a kind of leader, if I don't have a shared responsibility of ensuring that that kind of leader emerges, then what happens is that I am now going to get what I deserve. Okay, it is like when somebody says, I don't like planning, okay, and they will tell you that if you fail to plan, you're already planning to fail. Yeah. Okay, so what happens is that at the end of the day, you are planning. At the end of the day, you are already making a contribution. Yeah. So if you don't work hard, if you don't work responsibly to ensure that the leaders that you desire emerges in a political season, what happens naturally is that what you have will now be the leaders that you deserve because you did not work for it. So you deserve that. That is what we are trying to say. So I think it was Chinua Achebe that said that it is the responsibility of the citizens to seek out those who will govern them and to create an enabling environment for them to emerge. So it means that it is not enough for us to just say that we desire great leaders or that we desire leaders that will bring transformation in our community. We have to work for it. We have to work towards it. We have to do something about it. We have to make sure that there's that contribution, that we are fulfilling our own part of the responsibility. You go to companies, for instance, while you are doing consultation, people tell you that just like we discussed last week, we expect a leader who is going to share money. We expect a leader who is going to come to the community, and throw out change and throw out things that, maybe buy a bag of rice, give you campaign T-shirts and campaign caps to just show, that they are giving you something. Okay, they want somebody who is going to spend money. That is the whole conclusion. But the question is, in that expectation of somebody who is going to throw around money, you have not asked a question. This person who is willing to throw around this money, do they also share the same value of bringing transformation to the community? Do they also have the same shared value of making our community work? Because at the end of the day, you see that we don't put the leaders we desire in our before. The leaders who have that capacity to bring results, who have that capacity to make sure that our community is working. That is not the people we are bringing to the front. So one of the things that we have to do, and we are trying to engage by having this conversation, is that people need to understand that the leaders we have in Nigeria today are the leaders that we deserve, simply because we worked for it. We accepted their mediocrity. We gave excuses for their inefficiency. Even when things go wrong and they are supposed to be, handled and all that, what happens is that at the end of the day, we just, leave them to go scot-free on whatever issue or whatever that is going on. So the leaders that we desire must be our priority in an election season. We must ask ourselves, how do we identify this person? How do we work for this person? How do we ensure that this person emerges? Because if we don't do that, what happens at the end of the day is that any other kind of leader that we desire will now, come on us. You have some thoughts to share before I take some comments?
Yes. While you were talking about, the community engagement we had the other day, I was just thinking, when we actually sit and think critically about it, you find out that we have been the ones setting the standard for the kind of leaders we've had. We've been the ones setting the standard, because when you come out and you talk to somebody who is contesting election and you are making your demands, you see that you are the one actually telling them, okay, this is what I expect of you. But at the end of the day, when that expectation is actually met, but because you didn't realize what you are demanding for, when we tell them, okay, we expect you to give us this, we expect you to give us this for us to support you, they'll give it to you at the initial stage, but you honestly do not expect it to continue when he gets into office. So when he has met that initial expectation, he's only going to now say, okay, I've satisfied you, now it's not time to take care of me. So we set the tone for their leadership. When we have said, okay, this is what you want, he starts from the day one to meet those expectations from us. So we want them to share money. He gets into office, he's still going to share money. He's not going to stop and now start fixing the roads all of a sudden. He's not going to stop and now start taking account that we have bad education. No, he is going to continue sharing money. So when we sit down and think about it, we have been the ones making the society that the way it is. The leaders that we've had have always been of our own making. So one thing that let's not just look at it as leadership. Also in life, when you say you are not making any plans, like you said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You get life. They say that in life you get what you deserve, in the sense that if you have something you desire and you're not working for it, you never
eventually get what you deserve.
Yeah, that's, so what you don't work for, you can never get it.
Yes.
So if you're not working for the leaders that you desire, then what you deserve is the leaders that you do not desire. Right? So that is what you are going to end up with. So we have to become intentional about actually understanding our desires. So do I want a leader who is going to share money now? Okay, I'm going to demand for him to give me 5,000 so that when he gets into office, does he keep sharing? Is it feasible for him to keep sharing money? Or is it possible that I will not say, okay, no, I want the guy that will tell me, okay, I have so and so plans for education, I have so and so plans for community development, and we sit down and he tells me feasible ways he's going to achieve those plans. I call him to a meeting and he tells me, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. He gives me a rundown of his manifestos and his intentions. And we say, okay, this is very workable. I like what I'm hearing. I am going to do my utmost best to make sure you get into office and achieve these plans. I gather my friends and we start working together for this guy. Or do I say, okay, when we come into the meeting and he's finished talking to us, and then you now hear us turn around and say, Honorable, that's how it usually goes. So when I ask that question, I'm now stating my intentions. I'm now making my desires clear. So he now gives me a bottle of beer. He gives me 1,000 naira, and I support him.
So what we are saying in essence is that Nigerians ultimately, whether what we are experiencing today is what we desire or not, it is actually what we deserve. Because when you fail to plan, you are already planning to fail. Okay? So when we fail, if we are to put it from another context, when we fail to select the desirable leaders, the right leaders, the leaders who will make sure that things are working the way it should work, what happens is that we are going to inherit those we deserve. And who are those ones we deserve? Those who don't want to make any plan in the community, those who don't want to do anything that will work, those who don't want to, ensure that our environment will live up to our, to the dream of an average Nigerian. That is what is going on. Okay, so before I move on, let's look at on some of the comments coming in online. Sam Mbasa, very on point. Thank you for tuning in, Sam. If I Chuku Patrick, I feel Nigeria deserves credibility, competence, character, and one who upholds equity, fairness, regardless of where he's coming from. Okay, but is that what we are working towards? That is the question. Are we identifying and working with these people? Okay. So if I also said as essential, sincere and thought provoking this social media discussion are, it is very pertinent to ensure that this continues into rural areas so as to carry all and sundry along. God bless you, Nosonama. Thank you very much, Ifeanyi Patrick, for that comment. Thank you for tuning in once again. Okay, and we have Ifunanya. Please, how do we identify these leaders we desire? Okay, thank you for that very important question. Okay, so how do we identify? One, you identify them by their values. Okay. You identify them by their character. You identify them by their vision, their plans. Another word, if we want to use a political word for it, you identify them by their manifestos. Okay, you identify them by their associations. You identify them by their knowledge, their capacity. Their ability to, not just say what you need to hear, but being able to also produce results in that area. Okay? And you might say, okay, so how do we differentiate? This is one key to differentiate. Always look at people's antecedents.
Very important.
Okay? Always look at people's antecedents. You cannot be able to assess whether somebody has character or values moving forward. He will not be able to assess whether somebody has the capacity or the competence to produce results moving forward. No. It's not something that you can assess now, especially now that we are in a political season. Okay, everybody is doing their manifesto, everybody is creating plan, everybody is talking to people about what they can do. Beautiful. But you cannot base your judgment on that alone. You have to move backwards and look at their antecedents. Where are they coming from? What have they been doing before now? Do they have families? How are they taking care of their families? Do they have friends? What kind of relationship do they keep before now? Okay, when they were in school, okay, what was their conduct? What was their mannerism? Where they work, what are they known for? You must be able to look at people's antecedents, their experience of being committed or involved in the community. There's a reason why whenever you go, outside Nigeria and you see people are coming out for election, people always talk about their community service, what they did in school, what they did there, the reason for that is that it tells you the kind of person they are. It tells you the kind of quality representation they are going to, be able to provide if you give them an opportunity. Okay, so we are not going to assess people based on their future. We are going to assess them based on what they have done before now. Okay, and if we don't do that, it will not give us an opportunity to get a representative or to get leaders who will be able to ensure that our community is working. So while you are checking all those things, move back and look at the antecedents. Who are these people? And from where they are coming from, do they have what it takes to move us forward? Do you have anything you would like to add?
I feel you've got it covered. And also like you said, while checking those things, you can try and engage them and see their thought process, the way they think and the way they're able to process ideas and knowledge and all those things. So when you engage them on one-on-one, it also tells you about their personality, which I say goes in a long way to knowing who a leader really is. It's not who they want you to see or what they try to portray. It's who they really are that tells you, okay, this man is somebody that, in the face of challenges, in the face of opposition, he's going to stand upright. He's going to say, okay, no, I'm going to be for the people, right? So those are the kind of things that we also need to check. Even if in the past he has been able to make some waves in terms of antecedents and all those things. Going into something as a serious public office, what will be his stance when he starts witnessing some serious opposition, when he starts witnessing challenges from the people that want governance to be about just a certain class of persons? How does he stand? Or what are his views in those occasions? So we need to also be able to have a personal interaction, because even if you're able to start having those connections now, when they are in office and then maybe you want to call them back to order, those are the avenues that you can say, okay, can we have you in the town hall meeting and ask you some personal questions and have some personal interactions with you about your governance and your leadership style.
Okay, so Ifunanya, I hope we answered your question in terms of identifying these leaders. Okay, look at their character, look at their competence, look at their values, look at their experiences, look at what they have been able to do before now, and then of course it's going to provide us an avenue to understand who they are and what they will be able to do for us. Okay, so it is not just enough to desire great leaders. It is not just enough to desire leaders who will bring change. We have a role to play. That is why we have democracy. Okay, the goal of democracy is that it gives the people the power to make a choice. That is why we have democracy. And that is why one of the things we must frown against, that basic rights that we have in democracy, is someone installing based on their position or their affluence or whatever they believe that they have achieved, enforcing leaders to the community. It must be rejected. No leader should be enforced to a community in a democratic process. So what we are supposed to gain, the key gain of democracy, is that we have that ability, we have that power, we have that capacity that we call votes, to put people in office we know who are responsible, who have the ideas and the ideals to make sure that the society we desire is what comes to pass. And that is the power of democracy. That is the power of your vote. Okay? And that is why we are saying that in 2023, we must ensure that we support the right leaders who have these values, who have this capacity and competence. Not just to wish them good in our hearts. Not just to say, oh, I wish he emerges. Oh, I wish he does well. No. Remember what I said some few weeks back. Supporting a politician, you are not doing that politician a favor. You are doing yourself a favor. Because when you have the right people, the right leaders in power, what happens is that they are going to create an environment for your business to flourish. If there's insecurity, if there is no peace, today in the whole of the East, we are all sitting at home. Why are we sitting at home? Because of ineffective government. Because we have not provided for the needs of our people. We have not ensured that there's security, and therefore we can't do business. Sometimes it's extended for 2 days, and when you take out 2 days out of a week, what happens is that you have only 3 days to do business. Schools are shut down, so we don't have quality education because of what's involved. Everyone in the community, you discover that is lost as a result of what? As a result of bad leaders. So when I choose the right leader, I am making a choice for myself. When I walk and fight for the right leader, I am working and fighting for myself. It's not something I'm doing for someone so that they can be able to, go to the government house or go to Abuja and then possibly hand me some peanuts in the future. No, that is not the goal. The goal is that if I have working government, if there are working government, what happens is that at the end of the day, we are going to have individuals who are going to provide the right opportunities, provide security, ensure that there's education going well, ensure that we have quality health care, and that is benefit to us. Okay, so when you support a politician, when you support a candidate, you are supporting yourself. So what we are saying in essence is you have to intentionally look for that candidate that has those qualities that you like, those things that you dream of. You look for the candidate that has those values, and then you throw support and ensure that they emerge through the process. Without doing that, we can't see any change in our community. We can't see any transformation in our community. So find the right leaders, support them through the political process, ensure you show up. Okay? I was discussing with someone, a senior officer, and he mentioned to me that one key reason elections are lost. Okay, one key reason for election malpractice during voting is because people don't show up.
Yeah.
He was even saying that irrespective of the improvement in the electoral law and the introduction of beavers and all that, that one thing that kills or influences rigging during election is apathy. People not showing up. And so what happens is that when we don't show up, we don't get the leaders that we desire. We end up getting the leaders we deserve. Why do we deserve them? Because we refuse to show up. So if we make it a rule that we need to show up, if we make it a rule that we need to come and then do support, follow through, so that the right leaders will emerge, what happens is that at the end of the day, our communities will begin to work again.
Yeah.
So how do we even ensure that our vote is going to count in 2023? We ensure that our vote will count by showing up. We ensure that our vote will count by ensuring that we are supporting the right candidate to emerge at the polls. And these issues that we are discussing are very, very critical. Okay? Do you have thoughts?
Okay. Yes. You said that one of the key reasons why credible leaders fail elections is because there are nobody to vote for them. So even though we've had improvements in the electoral system, it still votes that will make sure that they get into office, right? So after we've identified, first of all, I would like to say that I think Nigerians are starting to wake up to the need to work for the leaders they desire. Of course, I'm taking into account the movement, the obedient movement that has taken over almost all of Nigeria. You see us organizing ourselves, making sure that we are creating awareness for the kind of leader we deserve in one sphere. I'm just talking about the president. I'm yet to see it transcend to all other electoral offices, which is something we need to also make as the local government chairman. But after all this awareness that we are trying to create, we need to also make sure that on the day of election, we are there en masse to make sure that work, all these